men, and I use the term loosely. The next project bike is right here. This is a customer bike. It's a 72 XLH, first year of the 1000cc engines. As near as I could tell, this thing is in nearly 100% stock condition. It's really, a little dirty, a little scratched up, but really a rare gem. Man, I would be proud to own this thing, and I'm sure the owner is proud to own it too. As with many of the bikes I've worked on over the last years, this one has a backstory. Apparently the owner was given up for adoption as a baby, a young boy or whatever, and he never met his actual biological father. Years went by and time and all that. Several years ago, over the internet and Facebook, I think he said it was, he tracked down a living relative, a sister or maybe a stepsister. And the stepsister or sister, as it may be, had this motorcycle. And, she was trying to sell it. And he said to her, "You'll be selling it to me. I want it." It was the only link he has, will be the only link he has between himself and his biological father. So this is a very special motorcycle for him, and my job here is to just get it running for him. He's got a fairly new battery in it, which he's kept on charge over the last couple of years, I guess. I mean, he's been tinkering with this thing for a couple of years, and I assume it has some kind of an electrical problem because you turn the key on, you push the button, nothing happens. The tail light and the headlight work. So, the electrical system is basically intact. I assume there's a problem with the switch, the relay, a broken wire, who knows. We'll figure that out later on. The bike right now is showing 3,692 original miles on it, so very low miles. I'm hoping this is going to be an easy fix. The other catch of this particular rebuild project is the owner's on vacation. Well, he's from Southern Illinois. He's vacationing with relatives and friends here in Texas and dropped the bike off with me. He's going to be going back to Illinois in a week and would like to pick the bike up and have it in at least a starting and running, if not driving state. I think that's possible. We'll see where this takes me. Like I say, I assume it's a minor wiring problem, so it shouldn't be too hard to fix. But the owner is not necessarily interested in keeping it 100% stock for resale purposes because he says he's never going to sell it. So, the monetary value doesn't really matter to him. So one of the things I might do is I might replace the switch with an automotive type start switch that has a 30 amp capacity, so I could eliminate the starter relay and just energize the starter right off of a wire from the switch to greatly simplify things and make it a little bit more reliable. So that's one thing I got to work on. Number two, for all intents and purposes, the throttle cable is completely locked up. I mean, I could twist it, and I really, I can move the throttle plate off of the idle stop maybe 1/8 of an inch. So the throttle is locked up, so that's going to be a problem. And actually, the owner had the air cleaner off and tells me there's a mud dauber nest up against the throttle plate. That could be the problem on here. So that's got to get fixed. Well, the mud dauber's got to be removed first. Anyway, that's where this is kind of at right now. So I'm going to try to do some videos of this one. The videos are going to be abbreviated because I've only got a week to work on this thing, and I can't afford jacking around with video, 3 hours a day when I need to be doing the 3 hours a day or whatever to get it running. So our goal is get it running, possibly driving, and we'll take it from there. We're going to tear the air cleaner and probably the carb off and get a look at the mud dauber nest. Going to get the gas tank out of the way so I could get to the carb, etc., etc. So let's get started. Another mud dauber right there. Spark plug wires were replaced with the 8.8 millimeter XL silicone steel core, stainless steel core, so that's good. Now let's get this air cleaner off. That's a fairly new K&N air filter, it looks like. Huh. Oh, yeah. Yep, definitely a mud dauber nest in there. You know, that might be why the throttle won't move. All right, here's the first thing I notice, well, after the mud dauber, is the manifold is loose on the head. If you could jiggle this like this, you know that it's leaking. And it's got the original style manifold clamps in it, so I'm probably going to replace those with the heavy-duty T-bolt type. One other thing that I'll pass on here, if you've got a bike and it's running crappy and you think it might be an intake leak, one of the things I do is I'll have the bike idling or whatever and grab the carb and just wiggle it. If the idle speed changes, or if you could see the carb wiggling, you know you're going to have an intake manifold leak you got to work on. So, helpful hint. Oh, and by the way, the bolts are both out, so the carb should come off, but it's stuck on there. So we're going to give the carb a little gentle persuasion. There we go. And you know, with the throttle disconnected, the throttle moves much easier. So the problem is probably not in the cable. It's probably in the mud dauber nest, which is actually freed up right now. So anyway, might leave the stock throttle cable alone. Might or might not. We're going to go for a little down and dirty over here. I got a hunk of battery cable. Going to put one end on the battery. Just going to hold it on there. I'm going to put the other end on the positive terminal of the starter and see what happens. Starter sounds good. The next thing I'm going to do is take the exhaust pipe off, and then I could go from the positive of the battery right to the connection on the solenoid. You know, right now the starter's spinning, but it's not engaging. If I go to the terminal on the solenoid and hit it with 12 volts, I should be able to get the solenoid to kick and see if it'll spin the engine. And just FYI, I pulled the plugs on and I did a quick borescope in there. I don't see anything in the cylinders like insects or rodents or whatever, so I think the motor could safely turn over. Here's some of that borescope video. Hard to take a good video with that borescope. I have a hard time controlling the direction of the lens. But I just wanted a quick look in there to make sure there was nothing that was going to hurt the engine if I cranked it over. Yeah, it looks good. Not a lot of oil, more carbon than I thought there should be. But yeah, not too bad. All right, you probably can't see shit, but peering into the deep, dark bowels. Right here is the terminal on the solenoid that gets energized when you want the engine to crank. So I got a jumper wire hooked up to positive on the battery, and let's see if we get the motor to crank. I dare say that's the first time this engine is cranked over in 30 years or more. The owner told me the last time it had tags on it was 1991. So there you go. What do we got? 34 years and it cranks. And you'll notice so far, I haven't had to use a voltmeter or anything. It's just jumper and wires. So I know the starters are good. I know the solenoid is good. I know the wiring from the battery to the solenoid to the starter is all okay. Now I might get a voltmeter out and go after the starter push button and see what it does. If I had to guess, I'm thinking the contacts on the starter button are a little corroded. We're going to find out. All right, without digging too deep into the weeds, previously put the key in it, push the start button, nothing happens at all. No clicky, no nothing. Didn't try to start, nothing happened. But the lights would work. So I did have to pull the diagram out, and I did have to take a look at it. And I think a little while ago I said the first thing I was going to check is the switch right here. So I took the switch out of the handlebar. It was a little crusty. I wire brushed it a little bit, put it back together again, nothing. Well, then is actually when I had to reach for the wiring diagram. Electricity comes from the battery terminal on the solenoid through this little square thing, which is one of them automatic circuit breakers that's screwed to the bottom of the battery box. Power comes out of there, also goes to the battery terminal of the voltage regulator, and then comes back around to the B terminal of the ignition switch. So when you turn the ignition switch to ignition, you connect these two wires over here, and power should come out, down, around, back, and over to the switch over here. Anyway, I had the switch out, hanging there, checked it, there was nothing. There was nothing there at all. Took a look at the back of the ignition switch, cleaned all those wires up a little bit. I knew power had to be getting here because if you turn the key to the light position, the lights work. So power was definitely coming to here. So I decided to shag down this wire over here. And for those of you who are familiar with Sportsters, there's that terminal strip under the headlight eyebrow. And this one right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wires on it. Took the headlight off, took the visor off. These wires were loose. Son of a bitch, I think I got it. Took a little wire brush to the terminals on there, cleaned them all up, screwed them back down tight. Went and checked for voltage over here. Now I got voltage over here. Put enough of it back together again so I could push the button and see what happens. Well, now it clicked. It clicked down here. This is the relay. So I'm good up to here. The relay clicks. So I'm thinking right now the contact in the relay is probably no good. What I'm going to do to test that is this. I'm going to put a jumper wire between terminal 1 and terminal 2, and the engine should crank over. And it should do this without turning the key on, because this wire here, back through here, oh, how did I have it figured? Oh, yeah, back through there, down through here, through the overload circuit breaker, to the terminal on the solenoid. That wire is going to be hot. So I'm going to jumper 1 and 2, and the engine should crank. So let's see what happens. I'll tell you, let's do this first. I'm going to turn the key on and hit the starter button, and you might be able to hear a click. It's not a big click, it's a little click, but let's see what happens. I can put the microphone right down by there. Where is it? There it is. So the relay is working, but the motor, she ain't a-cranking. Alright, I got a jumper clamped on to this terminal of the relay, and this terminal of the relay basically comes right from the battery. This wire over here is the wire that goes to the switch on the handlebars, and this green wire over here goes to the solenoid. When I touch this to that green wire terminal, the engine should crank. Let's see what happens. Bad relay. I might have one of these. I'm going to root around and see what I can find. Alright, I don't have one of these in my stash of leftover electronic doodads. So We're going to take this out. I'm going to pry the cover off of it, and I'm going to try to clean it up a little bit. I suspect that the points in it are just a little crusty, which if my points were 35 years old and hadn't been exercised, they'd be a little crusty too. I found one of these on eBay, new old stock HD. I ordered it. Listing says it'll be here by Saturday. The guy's coming to pick this up the following Monday. So with a little luck, it'll make it here. The relay was held on with 2 simple screws and nuts, tight beyond any and all reasonableness. It took like 20 minutes to get this sumbitch off of the motorcycle. Many, many, many cuss words were expended in removing this thing. But anyway, I finally won, and it finally came off. So the project marches on. There it goes. Suck. Sorry, you're in the way. Alright, here's the relay. A little rust evident on it. It does look like it's been sealed up with some hooky pooky pretty well. I had a stash of old Harley electrical gizmos. I don't have one of these. I thought I did, but I don't. I ordered a new one for the guy, new old stock HD off of eBay. Supposed to be here by Saturday. Bike's supposed to be picked up on Monday. But of course, I want to see if I could get it running before then. So we're going to take this apart and see if I could get it to work at least, at least temporarily, so I could, fire the bike up, see how the engine works, and do a few things like that. It looks like it's just held on with a couple of tabs that are bent over. Of course, the danger you run into is that, I'm going to bend the tab back and it's going to break off, so I won't be able to seal it up again. But for troubleshooting and testing, if I could get it to work, I could always zip tie the cover back on there if need be. And actually, these are bending real easy. And I think that's all there is to it. Other than the goop that's sealing it up, which is breaking right off. Wow. Ooh. Ooh, not looking good. Well, but I've seen worse. Here's the rust inside the lid, which doesn't matter. It's just evidence that there was moisture in there. Here's the part that matters. A lot of rust on it, a lot of corrosion on it. The magnet is in here. When the magnet fires, it pulls this down and these points make contact. There's schmutz between the pole of the magnet and this little arm that probably keep it. Actually, that's probably why it's not working. It may be keeping it from allowing the points to close all the way. So yeah, I think I might be able to resurrect this, at least temporarily. Not that bad. All I'm gonna do is this. I got one of these flex stones for points. Just clean this up a little bit. Blow the schmutz out of it. And hopefully it'll work. Theoretically, I could give it back to the owner just like this, and he should be able to reach down and just push these two things, and that should complete the circuit and get the engine to start. So we're going to try it out like this. Hopefully the new one will show up before he wants to pick the bike up, and hopefully this will work enough so I could get the engine running, you know, get the carb adjusted, maybe, you know, check the timing, a couple other things, and give him a good bike here in a week. All right, let's see if it runs. It should. I got a couple of plugs hanging on there so I could see if it sparks. If it does crank, let's see what happens. Whoops. Key on. Spark. Spark. And it cranks. Not bad for 31 years of sitting around. A few hours worth of work, and this is on the verge of firing up. I just pulled the drain plugs out of the crankcase. I expected the crankcase to be full of nasty oil because the oil tank was empty. But it was not. There was barely, I bet there wasn't even a cup of oil in there. And what oil that was in there came out clean. So very happy with that. That oil you see in there is out of the trans. And obviously there was way too much oil in the trans and the primary. So we're going to fill it up with oil tomorrow. Trans engine. The plugs up here, point the camera up here. The plugs are brand new, have never been fired. I got the headlight cowl ripped apart. There's one wire unaccounted for. I think it's the high beam indicator wire, I think, but I'm not sure. So I could shove this all back together again tomorrow. Right here is the terminal that had, whatever that was, 5-7 wires on it that was loose. This and the relay were the reasons it won't crank over. You can see remnants of what used to be more mud dauber nests in there. So I'm going to pull the bowl off of the carburetor here tonight. I'll show you that. And see what kind of shit's in there. I was going to do this video or these videos on a day-to-day basis, but tomorrow's video ended up being all about the carburetor because it took the better part of a day to get the carb sorted out. So it just made more sense to move this part about tearing down the carb into tomorrow's video. So with that, I guess I'm out of here. Tune into the next video to see what was wrong with this carb. And man, there was plenty wrong with it. And with that, I am out of here. Y'all take it easy. Bye. Men, if you like this channel and this content, the single most important thing you could do to help grow this channel is to hit the subscribe button. I also have new design coffee cups and stickers available. You know, I like the old coffee cups, but I like these new ones even more. Links are included in the description down below. And for those of you who really want to go the extra mile, you could join me on Patreon. Link is also included in the description down below. And to all of you who have watched these videos, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you very much. I really, really do appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Bye.